traditional costumes were worn in Bulgarian villages until the beginning of the 20th century. These garments were handmade in the villages using materials that were produced locally. Bulgarian women made their costumes all by themselves. Once married, it was usually in the past for a bride to be taken to her husband's village, taking with her dowry, of which her folk costume formed part. Later, her costume was passed on as a gift to her daughter. Bulgarian folk costumes consist of pants, shirts, vests, and girdles for men, and dresses and aprons for women. To all types of female costumes, there were specific hairstyles and arrangements of the head clothing, featuring jewelry, caps, scarves, and flowers. While female costumes are defined by the shape and cut of the dress, the male costumes are divided according to the shape and color of the upper garments into two principal types: white garment and black garment. Commonly, female costumes are divided into four categories: one apron, two apron clothes, tunics, and the saya garment. The garment I'm about to show you today is a young bride's winter costume from the second half of the 19th century from southeastern Thrace. The dress is a tunic, or sukman as we call it in Bulgarian. It was the most widely spread female costume and consisted of a chemise on top of which was worn the tunic made of homespun frieze closed in the front. On the left-hand side, you can see the original garment I used as reference for my illustration. As it's a winter costume, she wears a scarf and a coat over her dress. I decided to make two drawings just to show you how the actual garment looked like without being covered by additional clothing pieces. For the scarf I used fairly diluted burnt sienna to achieve the beige tone of the fabric and brown for the shadows. As I apply the shadows, I use a second wet clean brush to soften and blend the brown color into the beige. For all embroidery on the garment, I use fine liners and pro markers because they are very precise when you render the fine details. Repeat the same technique shown before to render the chemise. As the chemise is made of thick fabric, it creases in large and clean shapes, but the shadows are still soft because it's probably cotton. The tunic is in two colors, bright red and orange red, with greenish-white embroidery at the neckline and the foot of the skirt. The aprons, dresses and shirts are usually embroidered in regional colors and folk motifs. Red features heavily in Bulgarian folk dress, but black, green and white are also a part of the traditional clothing. Just in the same manner, the decorations at the chemise sleeves repeat at the very bottom of it in the same reddish-black color scheme. Here's another reference picture I used to construct the costume. The traditional materials were linen, hemp, wool, silk and cotton. The tunic is made of woolen fabric, and the shadows are larger and fewer because of the thickness of the material. It appears and creases almost like suit leather. The Sukman dress was worn with an apron fastened in the front with a belt with large belt buckles. The ornamentation of this costume is concentrated on the foot of the skirt, along the neckline and the sleeves borders. It's the costume's ornaments that makes it beautiful and so unique. The Bulgarian costumes contain many elements and motifs from the pagan beliefs and legends. No one wore clothes with fully symmetrical decoration, because Bulgarians believed that full symmetry was a diabolical creation. Therefore, elements were often added and removed so that symmetry should not exist. Those were intentional mistakes in order to prevent the evil eye. The basic structure of the clothing worn by men and women for work days and holidays remained the same for many hundreds of years, until urban-influenced fashion and factory-produced clothes become available. The coat is very simple. Just fill it in with black paint by leaving out the orange stripes and the seams. I didn't spend much time on rendering the leather shoes and the socks, but here is the finished result with and without the head covering and the coat. Our next destination will be Germany. Click on the country's name to see the relevant tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe and click the like button below this video, and I'll see you soon on our next adventure.